What's good, everybody? James here for Revolving Productions, and today we're going to be taking an in-depth behind-the-scenes look at our new short film, Perfectly Timed. Go ahead and roll the trailer. Yeah, check it out, check it out.
How's it going, James?
Are you sure this is what you want?
What's all this about, man?
Money's not as important as it used to be.
Hey, wait up! What am I supposed to do with this? I don't know how the hell you knew my name. What's all this about?
Look around you, kid. All the money in the world, all the money in the world can't buy you back 1 second of time.
Why are you here?
Alright, hope everybody's staying safe out there and enjoying this wonderful quarantine that we're having. That was just the trailer for our new short film, Perfectly Timed, that you guys just checked out. This is a new short film production that we put together last year in September of 2019. We filmed it in downtown Great Falls, Montana. We had a couple different shooting locations, and I'm just going to be taking you guys through kind of the overall process and try to cover as many things as possible for what went into this production.
Operating your shit. I just don't want to.
Perfectly timed shoot. Shout out to Public Drug Co. Great Falls, Montana. Coming soon. Alright. Oh, alright, we'll go ahead and start from the outside combo.
Out here making movies, know what I'm saying? You gotta wait for us cars.
So to start, I'll go ahead and start with the cast and crew. Shout out to my amazing team. It was such a blast. Again, we filmed it in September of 2019. It's here now and available for you guys to view. Yeah, I'll be linking it down in the description below. So to start with our cast, our main talent that we had was Alex Capo Brandt. Shout out to my guy Capo. This is an artist who I've worked closely with. If you guys didn't know, he's actually a really talented hip-hop artist that I got introduced to. And yeah, so basically he was our main talent for the film. He played the James character, which was the main character for the film. And yeah, it was a lot of fun working with him, man. We have really good chemistry and stuff, so when you're kind of dealing with the creative realm and stuff and you can find people who you get along with and work well with, it can make for a really cool, fun environment and help to make some really cool, creative kind of stuff. So that was one benefit.
James, he just goes like this. Yeah, I'm losing your wife, and you're like just behind the camera.
Well, you know, it's kind of hard to get up and try to mode you yelling out when I hit the boom, and then I'm going to trip over the tripod.
Just do what we
Beautiful.
Alright, so
Put a T-bar on it.
It's the new phase of cinema. You just hold two.
Look at him leaving his
I
eye.
guess you
Oh,
can
you know
work
it.
Let's see if I can do that.
He's stupid.
You need like maybe a shirt to lean it on. Oh, okay, bet. Alright,
I don't want anything to.
As far as cast, our other character that we had was Doc, a guy who I've known for a number of years, just kind of through various jobs and people who I know and stuff like that. It was really kind of funny how it came about because my screenwriter Josh, I'm going to talk about him here in a minute, but after I told him that I wanted to cast him for the Suitman role, that was kind of, for lack thereof a better term, that's just what we were calling him. He was kind of the person that we had in mind to shoot, and like a couple days after I told him I wanted to cast him and sent him a couple pictures, and I initially like approached him and met with him and kind of went over the script and stuff about being in the film, he's like, yo, do you realize that the person who you cast looks exactly like Father Time? And he texted me a couple images for it. I was like, yo, that's crazy. I had no idea. So that was kind of a funny fact, and then it kind of played along with the title, Perfectly Timed.
That's a piece of J-Wall. That's like a different kind. Two 18-year-olds with a beard. What the fuck? Yeah, what the fuck? Sniper. And action.
Says that?
Well,
Or do you want me in the motion of getting up?
in the motion of getting up. What'd you say your name was? Nice try, Slick, as you're standing up.
I'm going like this. You say, what's your name? And I'll settle back and say, nice try, Slick. Continue.
Booth. What did you say your name was? Nice try, Slick, as you're getting up. Volume a little higher, guys.
And so yeah, that was kind of a funny coincidence. And then one of our other main characters that we had in the film was a good friend and artist of mine. This guy whose stage name is Billy Briese.
Time.
Come close.
Time. Time.
Oh, no.
Time.
Gotcha.
Time.
He's a really talented singer-songwriter, musician. He was the one I did the Willie's Lament music video for, and as far as kind of like visual aesthetic, he was the person who I thought he would like look well on screen and kind of fit the part and the role that we had. Then we also had Hendrix Ryan, which is Jake Ryan's son. Shout out to Soulfire family, really talented musical family. Jake is an artist and musician himself that I've also worked closely with, so pretty much all our main cast and talent for the film are people who I had relationships before and was able to talk to and get them to be on board with the film and thought that they'd be good fits. So yeah, that pretty much covers our cast.
Yeah, I'm ready. Roll camera. You got that recording going? All right.
Ready.
Oh, there it goes. Beautiful. Keep it on standby. Thanks, man. We'll give you the cue.
Stay down. Stay down till he tell you when. Stay down there till he tells you move. He'll tell you action when he's ready.
Alright, so Troy, for this next shot, what we're gonna do is a gimbal tracking shot of Capo basically walking in.
I got a huge ass monitor. Behind the scenes. It's Inception.
And then as far as crew, shout out to my guy Grayson Davis. He was our drone op for the film, and he was actually also our main camera operator.
Hustle.
So he was one of the people who was taking care of just like the drone schematics, like various kind of like AC assistant camera work throughout the day. There were a couple gimbal tracking shots. All of the tracking shots from all the outside scenes of Capo, our main talent, walking down the sidewalk. He was pretty much operating the gimbal for the majority of that. There's some pretty funny stuff with that we had throughout the day. When we were doing those shots, it was right around like 1 o'clock, like middle of the day, and a lot of the people who are working in Great Falls have their lunch around that time, so there was a lot of like people walking on the sidewalks, like cars driving by and things along those natures. Lots of people were looking because we had a pretty elaborate setup. Just to kind of give you guys a rundown, Grayson was in the wheelchair operating the gimbal, and then Jacob, one of our other camera operators, I'm going to talk about him in a minute, he was basically like wheeling the chair, and then we had Troy Kendall, our boom mic operator, who was also walking. I was kind of overlooking the whole thing, and then obviously we were filming the main talent, who was pretty much the only person, the focus on the film, in the frame. So it was funny to see like a wheelchair rolling down with a relatively tall person operating a gimbal, a boom mic operator, somebody operating the wheelchair, and then me overlooking the thing rolling down the sidewalk, filming during the middle of the day. So that was kind of funny to see that. Jacob was just kind of doing various sort of like PA kind of assistant camera role throughout. He was responsible for filming the majority of the behind the scenes that you guys are seeing throughout. He took care of a lot of that, as well as Grayson, pretty much when we weren't like filming the actual scenes and I was getting ready to set up the next shot. They were filming behind the scenes, so shout out to them for doing that. Troy Kendall, he was someone who was a good friend of mine in Great Falls, and he's a really talented musician as well as sound engineer. He's engineered a lot of kind of like indie recording sessions. He's recorded a lot of rappers and stuff, so I knew I wanted to hit him up to do the audio duties and operate the boom throughout the day. So shout out to him for doing that. He was the guy who was operating the mic throughout the day. Man, it was a long 12-hour day. We had a call time of like early 6 a.m. call time at Tracy's, which was our first location for the shoot day, and then we didn't get done until about 6 p.m. so it was about a full 12-hour day. We did stop for a little bit around 11 to eat lunch and stuff like that, but yeah, that was kind of the overall 12 hours full day of shooting for us to get everything we needed. I ended up having a second and third pickup day where I just filmed a few little extra scenes and stuff like that. I think it was like about a week after that we shot that, but the majority of this stuff we got done that day.
Alright, so for this one we're going to film your arrival scene of you basically just arriving into the store initially. So basically Troy and I are just going to follow behind you is all. Pretty simple, don't really need any dialogue. So to give you kind of a little bit of a rundown, all we're going to do is walk in the front doors. You see that little Timex right over there on the window? Yeah. You'll walk in, kind of spend a few seconds over there, circle around the counter, come over this way, and walk up to Billy. That's it. What's that? Oh yeah, well that's just one of them, but we got a couple other shots to do too, so I was just trying to think if we should hit up the kid now. I think so. Okay. Heck yeah, bro, it's growing. Alright, everybody ready?
We're gonna be right here, right?
Yep. And then just kind of sunglasses here.
I'll go and put them
on. While you're operating your...
I just don't want to leave.
Beautiful. One take, that's it, man.
Right when we were walking up, I heard just a tiny little bit of static.
Oh.
I don't know, something. I don't know how to play it back.
If it was only for a brief moment, then the majority of it will matter.
Okay.
We're just gonna get an outside shot from outside of the window of you looking at the Timex, so just for like 30 seconds or so, just kind of looking at that.
I'll still be inside.
Oh yeah, go ahead and just like crouch down and low. Yeah.
Last and most certainly not least is my guy Joshua Dowdy. Josh was the one who wrote the script, and he's just a really good friend of mine. Since then and now, since it was about 7 months ago that we shot the project, we have various other things that we're working on. We have another big short film shoot that we're planning on doing more toward the end of the year that I won't go too far into detail, but yeah, he was the one that wrote the script. He's actually like a published author. He's put out a couple of books. Touching on locations, we pretty much had two main locations. The first one was Tracy's. Shout out to John for allowing us to film there. It was actually kind of crazy because when me and Josh first started to kind of get into pre-production and talk about locations and where we were going to do the film, we weren't entirely sure, and I was like, oh, Tracy's would be a good location, you know, it's downtown. That was kind of the overall vision that I had for the film, was to shoot it downtown and stuff like that. So we went to Tracy's, saw that it was closed, and I'm like, dang, that's crazy. Tracy's is kind of a staple in Great Falls. It's been open for a long, like many years. And so when I saw that it was closed, I was like, dang, where are we gonna film it at? So I ended up going back, I think like a couple months later, and saw that it was reopened under new management. And so I went there a couple times to like eat breakfast and kind of feel the vibe. And I liked the overall location. I pretty much approached them about it and they were okay with it. So I was like, all right, sweet, awesome, we got that location. And then as far as the secondary location where the watch stuff takes place, that one was a little bit tougher. We kind of scouted around and there weren't really any watch locations, so to speak, around Great Falls. But then we ultimately just came to the decision where like, yo, we gotta have the location. So we ended up reaching out to Public Drug. Thank you again to them for allowing us to shoot there on both days. And yeah, we basically shot at the Public Drug location as the second location.
Sorry, buddy. 1 second. Briese, take the camera off. I'm going in.
Was you chanting the opportunity stuff?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, I want to be able to tell time.
That's all I needed to hear. One moment.
Thank you.
Alright, and action. Beautiful. Good job, fellas. Alright, I just gotta rebuild real quick. We're gonna do the, now tell me, James, why are you here right?
Good eye, James. Now tell me, why are you here?
As far as the outside shots, big shout out again to Grayson. The drone shots were incredible. As we were kind of resetting and sort of, because the two locations were only a couple blocks away from each other, Grayson took care of a lot of the drone visuals. There were kind of 2 points throughout the day, one sort of midday that he was taking care of it, and then another time later in the day when we got a couple more of the drone shots. And it was crazy because I think the second time around, when I was kind of monitoring more closely and like overlooking what the monitor was seeing and what kind of shots we were getting, there were a bunch of birds flying around. And then it was funny because I was paying closely to what the image was showing on the monitor, and I saw that one of the birds flew like super close, and I was like, yo, did you see that? And then I knew like 100% for sure that I was gonna ultimately end up using that as one of the shots. And so yeah, Grayson pretty much took care of all those. We filmed it using the DJI Mavic 2 drone, and yeah, fantastic job. It was really great. One of the other really dope things that happened is we actually got a feature in the Great Falls Tribune, and we got the front page feature. It was crazy because the day before we shot the film on September 9th, they put out the article, and it was crazy because at that point I had a group text going on for like pretty much all the cast and crew to give them updates as needed and let them know what was going on. And it was literally like September 9th the front page feature came out, and then the next day we shot the film, so that was a really nice amp up the day before for me to text that in the group chat, yo, we got the front page article of the paper today. And how that all kind of came about is I reached out to the Tribune. I called them one day and basically told them that we were doing a short film that we were shooting, and that myself and Josh, the screenwriter, were pretty much the two main people that were involved in it. And so we had reached out to them, and then we ultimately ended up like meeting a couple of times, taking a couple photos in front of the shooting locations, and then got the front page feature for it. So yeah, it was pretty awesome that we got the newspaper coverage. One really cool thing that I got to do was meet with Enya at the actual Great Falls Tribune facility, which is right on River Road in a pretty nice part of town right by the Missouri River. And yeah, it was pretty neat to be able to go and experience that and kind of talk about the film and get an actual write-up. That's one of the really cool things that we've had. And now the film has only been out just like a couple days, not even a full week yet. And yo, we have gotten so much amazing media coverage up until this point. I submitted and got the film registered on IMDB, which stands for Internet Movie Database. If you guys aren't familiar, I'll link it down below in the description. Yeah, so that's one really cool kind of milestone that we've had. We've had a couple kind of like indie film blog write-ups. Shout out to Unfiltered Cinema, and then there's a couple other ones that we've had it featured on. There's a rapper, Forgiato Blow, that caught wind of it, who's down in Miami, where he shouted it out.
Hey, what's up, James? Man, it's the kid Forgiato Blow. We're in the studio right now. Just checked out your new film, Perfectly Timed, man. It was dope.
Peace, y'all. This is Razcast. I hope everybody's out there safe. You know, want the best for all y'all. But right now, I wanted to shout out my man, James Dilge. He's a musician and a filmmaker living in LA, represent. And he's recently just released a new short film that he directed. It's called Perfectly Timed. So I want you guys to make sure you go on YouTube, look for this short film, give him some support, show him some love. He ain't got nothing to do. It's quarantine time. So go check out Perfectly Timed by my man, James Dilge. Once again, I'm Razcast. Much love, much respect. Peace to everybody.
We've had it featured on a couple big Instagram pages like Camera Lust and a couple few other ones. I think Hip Hop Promo reposted it as well too, and a couple few other ones. So that one's really cool. As far as gear, the gear that we used is, in the camera department, we used 2 Sony cameras as the A and B camera, and then we also used a Canon Rebel. One of the main focal lengths that I used was the 28mm Vivitar. It's actually a vintage film lens. I just kind of like the overall focal length of it, and with films, narrative based like dialogues and movies and things along those lines, it seems like they kind of go for more tighter ones. That's actually the same setup that I'm filming on right now. One of the cool aspects of it is that it is a completely manual aperture on the lens, so I kind of like that aspect of it, to be able to, I usually shoot in shutter profile on my Sony a6300, which was the main A camera that we used for the majority of the scenes in the film. and then I can just adjust the aperture as needed. Like for some of the outside scenes, I closed down the iris to I think like f4, f5, f6, kind of that area. It was a little bit cloudy, but it was also kind of nice too. Then for some of the smooth like tracking shots and stuff along those lines, we used my Ronin M gimbal, so that was cool. As far as the drone shots, I mentioned earlier that we used the DJI Mavic Pro 2, which is Grayson's drone. He's a really dope Montana-based videographer, so if anyone up in Montana needs like music videos or camera photo work of any kind, definitely him up. I'm going to be linking all this stuff down below in the description.
Cut.
And then with audio, we went ahead and I purchased a Rode NTG2 microphone and a boom pole, as well as a Zoom H6 audio recording device. So the Rode NTG2 microphone is specifically designed for capturing audio for films. So that was the setup that Troy, our boom operator, was running throughout the majority of the day.
Action.
How's it going, James?
Good morning. Can I start your gentleman off with anything today?
I thought this was an industry. My clothes out for
Go ahead and come and stand right over here. And then basically we're just filming you walking away is all, so go ahead and face that direction. Hold tight for just a second. I'll give you the cue in just a minute here. Yep. Yeah, so we'll have you film Capo, stay at 55, and then I'll film Ashley, and then Jacob will film Doc.
And I will be...
Oh, I think...
Same place?
Back in your corner?
Get back in the corner.
I'd say, yeah, it should be fine where I was.
Yeah.
Should they get older?
And do you want it as punched in as possible, though?
And then with lenses, one of the other wide angle lenses that I used was my Sigma 10 to 20 millimeter lens. I'll show you guys, I got it right here. It's a really dope zoom lens that I use on a lot of different productions. It's pretty neat. It goes wide from 10 millimeters to 20 millimeters, so that one kind of master shot where Capo arrives at the second location, the public drug, and it pans down on him. This was the lens that I used for that one, and then there were a couple other ones toward the end of the film. This thing is a beast, man. I've had this thing for a number of years and used it on a lot of different music videos and concert photography. It's just so wide, so it's a really dope lens. And then we also used some more like telephoto lenses on a couple other ones too, where it was more like 70 to 200 area and things along those lines. So yeah. And then I was using Jacob's shoulder rig for the little chase scene that was going on outside. So that was kind of fun shooting those scenes. It was pretty cool. So yeah, that about covers it on the gear aspect of it.
Rolling camera, action, and word up. Close that door, Doc. Action, and wait up.
Alright, one last thing that I really wanted to mention that I almost forgot about is Tropic Color. Shout out to Tropic Color for pretty much all the post-production assets on Perfectly Timed. I hit up their stuff. I used their Indianapolis LUT from the Urban LUT pack to give kind of the overall bluish tone on the film, and then I also used their 35mm film grain and cropped it at 2:35:1 for the cinematic aspect ratio, and then a lot of the sound design that you guys hear throughout. A lot of the sound that you guys hear on the project was utilized using the Cinematic Sound Effects sound pack. Ugh. Shout out to Tropic Color. They're a really dope company that has lots of awesome stuff. Just on a little side note real quick, Jacob Owens and Thomas Taher are the owners of Tropic Color, and they have this really dope website called learncinematography.com. I'm actually an ambassador for it, and you can get 10%. It's basically like an online film school where you can learn about lighting and pre-production and shooting and camera builds, and like pretty much anything you need to know about filmmaking is on the website, and you can save 10% by using my promo code JamesDilge10 on the website learncinematography.com. So check that out, and shout out to Tropic Color. And yeah, as far as post-production on the project, I edited it in Adobe Premiere. The timeline was looking pretty crazy once I got everything done and got the main dialogue scenes laid in, and then we also hired a post-production sound guy. Shout out to Oscar Lemus real quick. He was the one who edited some of the audio post-production sound editing for that project. So yeah, just to kind of touch on that, that's what we did there. So yeah. Also, shout out to my guy Sere Grey. My homie Michael is a really talented music producer. There was a number of original sound compositions that he had put together for this film. There's a couple kind of like building moments and stuff.
How's it going, James?
That he was behind, so big shout out to him on handling the original sound composition for that. So shout out to him. If you're a musician or an artist, he's a really talented music producer and is also based out of the Montana area. So shout out to him, and yeah, go check him out. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, it was a lot of fun shooting it. We had a great time. But yeah, it was overall a great time. The film is out now. I'm gonna link it below down in the description. If you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to drop them below in the comments. And yeah, again, this was James for Revolving Productions, and yeah, catch you guys on the flip side. Peace!
How's it going, James?
Are you sure this is what you want?
What's all this about, man?
Money's not as important as it used to be.
Hey, wait up! What am I supposed to do with this? I don't know how the hell you knew my name. What's all this shit about?
Look around you, kid. All the money in the world, can't buy you back 1 second in time.
Why are you here?